is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
What makes America great is not the suppression of ideas or the pursuit of every corner of those ideas may lead us or the facts. It's about who we are and how we investigate who we are and celebrate the diversity of who we are. All of these bills that DeSantis and others are doing limit our ability to understand who we are and are not inclusive. They're exclusive. They're narrowing the focus of what is and isn't American history. It's terrifying. It feels like a Soviet system, or, you know, the way the Nazis would build a Potemkin village. Tucker Carlson's doing the same thing with the footage from 1/6. It's just a kind of rewriting of history at the most dangerous level. It's a huge threat to our republic. I'm doing, Don, a film right now, working on a major series on the history of the American Revolution, and I can tell you that Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine and George Washington and John Adams and James Madison and Alexander Hamilton are rolling over in their graves if they think that this person is carrying the mantle of what it is to be American.
Seriously, dude, this is not American. This is anti-American. This is something else. This is not democracy. This is Soviet-style suppression, or even, Stasi stuff, Nazi stuff, okay? I say Stasi all the time because that's the German secret police, and that is what Texas has incentivized for neighbor to rat out a neighbor to the point where a woman who has a fetal abnormality to the point where there's no skull, okay? These are real things. They happen more often than you might imagine, or the organs of a fetus are developing outside of the fetal body. A woman can become septic and die. Septic means there's a blood toxicity, okay? 103 fever wasn't even enough to make Texas doctors feel safe in administering life-saving health care to her, okay? It wasn't even enough. She was in ICU with sepsis twice. Not just the first time, the second time too, with sepsis, with a blood, a toxicity in her blood as a result of a pregnancy that was not viable. And doctors were so afraid to intervene because in Texas, it's a life sentence. It's a criminal activity to administer to a pregnant woman a life-saving health care. It is. And so doctors don't know if they can intervene, and they're not going to go to jail for the rest of their lives. The other, things that could happen to doctors in Texas now is they could lose their medical license. My God, you go to school for 25 years to be an OBGYN, and some snot-nosed guy who refuses to protect children in elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, is going to, tell you that you have to let this woman die too. They're like a death cult, man. I've never seen anything like it. And here is the crap that they're focusing on instead of focusing on how to keep our kids safe, how to keep our kids untraumatized. I mean, this generation of kids, this Gen Z, they have never, ever, ever been in school 1 year of their lives without having to hide from danger. And like I said, when they're very little in classes now, I don't even know, like how many people will, know this, but when they're very little, like kindergarten to third grade, they tell them there's a bear outside the classroom, a bear, and you have to hide from the bear because they don't want to tell these kids that, what they're hiding from is a live shooter from, some guy with an AR. They don't want to tell them that, so they tell them it's a bear, and they get them to practice hiding and being quiet so the bear can't hear them, smell them, see them. And then as they get older, they tell them, okay, there's a bad man, and then finally they include the fact that, okay, it's a guy with an AR-15 and he might have multiple rounds and this is what you do. Our kids are traumatized by our real life, by reality, and they're inventing an alternate universe instead of solving the problems.
If anybody knows what's American and un-American, I would trust Ken Burns to know it. The guy has covered our history in such a genius and amazing fashion.
But Ron DeSantis is actually giving concealed carry permits to people without any background check and without any training and expecting that the kids will be all right. the ones he's forcing us to have. They'll be fine. He doesn't want to solve the problem. Abbott doesn't want to solve the problem. In fact, when you listen to these Republicans, these freaks of nature that somehow manage to get elected because people watch, propaganda TV. They watch what we call Fox, but it's Russia 1. Okay, they watch this this twisted version of reality, this unreal fake universe in which they try to figure out where they are and how to solve their problems. They honestly don't know. They honestly don't know that instead of solving the gun problem, they're adding to it. Adding to it. And here in Florida, the real seriously freaky people, okay, are saying they're pissed off that Ron DeSantis didn't go far enough because they don't want concealed carry only. They want open carry. And now he says he might consider it. So what, I'm going to be at the Publix deli counter with an 85-year-old guy who's on 42 different meds, who has a really bad temper, and is watching Fox News every single night in his freaking double wide and his lazy boy, and all of a sudden he doesn't like that I'm asking for kosher salami, and so he just gets to, kill me? I mean, what the hell does he think is going to happen here? He made no mention in his State of the State speech, which he gave yesterday, Ron didn't, of expanding the abortion ban, and yet today he's doing it. He didn't even tell the people of Florida in his State of the State speech, not that anybody, outside of the state or like 5 people in it watched it, but trust me, he didn't mention the abortion ban. He didn't, the only assistance he's providing to, forced parents now is, like I said, a sales tax exemption on diapers. And he actually said, having a child will be tax-free. Tax-free? What the F? We're proud to be pro-family, and we're proud to be pro-life in the state of Florida. You're not pro-life. You're pro-death. This is so twisted. Texas is right there too. Oh, and by the way, like I said, if you listen to the freaks of nature that happened to get elected in this last crazy midterm election of ours, even though they did not do as well as they had hoped and planned, you got guys that are seriously on the floor saying they want to bomb Mexico. No, I'm not kidding. They want to bomb Mexico. They want to go after the drug cartels with bombs. Well, do you understand that bombing people requires intel and the cooperation of the government that you want to bomb, or else you're declaring war? And this is how stupid they are. This is unbelievable.
I believe we should have a military presence at the very least on the southern border, if not across the border. One of the things we learned post-Trump presidency is that he had ordered a bombing of a couple of fentanyl labs, crystal meth labs in Mexico, just across the border. And for whatever reason, the military didn't do it. I think that was a mistake.
That was a mistake. Not declaring war on Mexico was a mistake. You understand this? So now Texas wants to secede. Let them fight Mexico. Oh my God! They want to recreate the freaking Alamo. I don't know how this is passing as being a good way to live, or American, or democratic, and I mean small d democratic, where they want one party rule. They want to bomb our neighbors. They want to take away the right to vote, access to the ballot. They want to jail people who thought they had the right to vote, but in the fine print that they didn't read, they really didn't. And he wants to arrest them and hold press conferences. Meanwhile, when you have people that voted twice and are admitting it on the TV, he doesn't want to touch them because they're whiter than white and they're for him. And anybody that's for them is protected, and anybody that's not for them isn't. That isn't America. That isn't our country. It's something else. And you know what it is. And I don't want to say it because if I do, then you'll say, oh, you're just throwing this word around. But, I've been saying this for, I don't know, since 2003 or four, I guess, right? Since 2004. This was always slouching toward Gomorrah. This was always a move to fascism. It was always a unitary executive. The one man and the one man alone can fix it. Theory of governing. It has nothing to do with self-governing. It has to do with being subservient to the unitary executive. They have been expanding and expanding the powers of the presidency. They've been expanding and expanding their presence on courts. They have been expanding and expanding every single thing for themselves and taking away every single tool we have to live free. Every single one. Every single one, including now taking away bodily autonomy. Holy cow. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.